The Lakers just put on a show. Luka put up 49 points, grabbed 11 rebounds, and handed out 8 assists in just 35 minutes. And that stat line alone should have been enough to fry the Timberwolves' defensive schemes into dust. He hit 14 of 23 shots, drilled 5 threes, and went 16 of 19 from the line. That's not just volume, that's efficient, punishing, balanced scoring from all 3 levels. And the Lakers looked like a completely different organism because of it. It wasn't just Luka going off though. Austin Reeves added 25 points of his own, along with 11 assists and 7 rebounds. That's a double-digit assist night from a guy who also shot 9 for 15. That's not a fluke. That's a second engine, pushing the offense down the court and doing it clean. Between Luka and Reeves, they combined for 74 points and 19 assists, which directly contributed to more than half of the Lakers' total output of 128 points. And speaking of that total, let's break down how they got there. The Lakers shot 59.2% from the field as a team. That's the kind of number you usually see in a 3-quarter scrimmage, not an NBA game, against a playoff team. From 3-point range, they hit over 41%. Add in over 81% from the free throw line, and you've got a team firing efficiently from literally everywhere. By the way, if you guys want to watch a more fun style of video, I have another channel. In the video I posted today, I gave a prediction for every NBA star for the season, including Luka, LeBron, and every other star. The link will be in the description and at the end of the video. Thanks. Anyway, the Lakers, Reeves's plus minus was plus 17. Luka's was plus 18. Those two numbers don't exist in isolation. They represent how dominant the Lakers were when those two were on the floor together. They weren't just putting up big numbers individually. The team looked completely in sync when they were running the show. The pace, the ball movement, the shot selection, it was sharp. Rui deserves his own section here. He scored 23 on 10 of 13 shooting and knocked down 2 threes. And he did that in only 32 minutes. His plus minus was plus 11, which reinforces the story of the Lakers having more than one dependable scoring option behind Luka. The Wolves couldn't key in on Luka without getting burned elsewhere. DeAndre Ayton put up 15 points on 7 for 11 shooting and added 8 rebounds. He played 31 minutes and finished at plus 9. What you get from Ayton in this one was a high-efficiency interior presence. He didn't need to dominate the ball, but every time he got a clean look inside, he converted. He also helped close out defensive possessions, especially when the Lakers were running in transition. Now the bench, Marcus Smart only, scored 3 points in 21 minutes, but his plus minus was a staggering plus 24, the highest on the team. That wasn't scoring impact, that was floor generalship, hustle, and defense. He also racked up 2 steals, and both came at big momentum moments when the Wolves were trying to cut into the lead. His energy stabilized the second unit and gave the Lakers more time to rest starters without giving up ground. Jared Vanderbilt chipped in with 2 points, but more importantly, pulled down 7 rebounds and added 2 steals in 20 minutes. His plus minus was plus 12. Again, not a flashy line, but high impact defense and hustle. He defended multiple positions and fought for loose balls, and every possession mattered in maintaining that lead. Jake LaRavia scored 6 points in 28 minutes. Not eye-popping, but he finished at plus 14. That means he did his job. He filled space, rotated well, and kept the offense moving with smart passes. Sometimes it's not about numbers. It's about keeping the machine running while others drive the scoring. Gabe Vincent added 5 points and 5 assists in 24 minutes. His plus minus was minus 1, the only starter in the negative, but it didn't hurt the team. His 2 for 5 shooting didn't demand many touches, and his 5 assists show that he still found ways to contribute as a secondary ball mover. Now the team metrics: 26 assists on 45 made field goals. That's crisp, intentional, unselfish ball movement. They only turned the ball over 10 times. That's elite control. It's rare to see a team play with that kind of efficiency and pace while also avoiding sloppiness. Defensively, the Lakers grabbed 31 defensive rebounds and limited Minnesota to just 7 offensive rebounds. That means second chances were rare, and that was crucial in controlling the tempo. They recorded 6 steals and 3 blocks. Not astronomical, but enough to disrupt key Timberwolves possessions. The final score was 128-110. That's an 18-point win over a team that just bounced Luka from the playoffs a few months ago. And he made sure that wasn't going to happen again. He had 23 points in the first quarter alone, hitting 8 of 12 and 4 threes. That tied him with Kobe Bryant and Kyle Kuzma for the most points in an opening quarter by a Laker in the last 30 years. By halftime, he had 32. Then he added 7 quick points to start the fourth. And just like that, the Lakers were up 20. That's not just hot shooting. That's a star bending the entire game around himself. The Lakers had 5 double-digit scores. Luka had 49, Reeves 25, Rui 23. 8 and 15, and Smart's quiet 3 were still part of a massive plus-minus impact. That kind of balance means they're not just relying on one guy to carry the scoring load. The spacing was excellent, the shooting percentages were elite, and the second unit didn't just hold, they extended leads. And with LeBron out, that balance mattered even more. He's not back until mid-November due to sciatica. Yet, in this game, the Lakers didn't just survive, they looked comfortable, dangerous, and fluid. They're not a team, just holding on until the king returns. They're executing now. Even Bronny James got on the court. He played the final 3 minutes and 14 seconds. He didn't score, but the fact that the game was already locked away gave him the runway to step onto the floor and get his reps. That's how dominant the Lakers were. They handled their business so well that the youngest player on the roster got minutes without jeopardizing the result. This win matters not just because it was a bounce back after the season-opening loss to Golden State, but because of the way they won. Nearly 60% from the field, over 41% from 3, a bench that posted a plus 24 when Smart was on, only 10 turnovers. That's how you win games without your best player. That's how you look like a team built to go deep. And Luka did all this with a sore groin and a left hand that got banged up in the first few possessions. He was grabbing at it, doubled over at times, but then he just kept scoring. The pain didn't stop him from hitting jumpers, drawing contact, or dishing to open teammates. He missed his final 2 field goals and 1 free throw late, or he would have hit 50, and this would have been his 8th 50-point game. Historically, only Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, and Anthony Davis have opened a season with back-to-back 40-point games. Luka just joined them, and the difference is, he's doing it for a team that's already got weapons around him ready to go. This game told us something about this version of the Lakers. With Luka controlling the pace, Reeves creating off the wing, Rui cleaning up mismatches, and Ayton finishing plays, they don't need to be perfect to beat good teams. But when they do come close to perfect, like they did in this one, they don't just beat playoff teams, they blow them out. It wasn't some crazy fourth quarter run or miracle 3-point shooting night. This was sustained dominance from the jump. The Lakers dropped 36 in the first, then 32, then 28, and 32 again in the fourth. They didn't let up. Minnesota never had a quarter where they made up ground. They were balanced, efficient, in rhythm, and smart. And that's before LeBron gets back. That's before the rotation settle in. That's before Bronny gets meaningful minutes. The Lakers already look like they figured out how to let Luka take over while still getting real contributions from every level of the roster. Today's win wasn't just about Luka's 49, it was about how the team responded to it. The floor spacing from Reeves, the downhill pressure from Rui, the consistency from Ayton, the perimeter defense from Smart, the hustle from Vanderbilt, the control from Vincent. Even the low-minute guys were engaged. This was a team performance from tip-off to buzzer. If this is how they look in Game 2, there's a real ceiling here. And it's not just theoretical anymore. The numbers say it all. This was domination, and it was clean, balanced, and overwhelming. That's how good the Lakers were today. But the thing is, the Lakers are clearly so much better when Luka plays great. When Luka scores over 30 points, the Lakers offense doesn't just hum, it explodes. In 5 of those high-output games, his average jumps to 30.2 points per game, with 7 rebounds and nearly 6 assists. That's already higher than his regular season average of 28.2 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 7.5 assists. And when those stats go up, so do the Lakers' margins of victory. Against Houston, he put up 39, grabbed 8 boards, and dished out 7 assists. The Lakers won that game by 31 points, dropping 140 on the Rockets, while shooting over 60% from the field, 19 of 37 from deep too. That kind of shooting is rare, and it lined up with one of Luka's biggest nights. Against Dallas, Luka scored 45. The Lakers beat his old team by 15. Again, no coincidence. These games show a pattern. When Luka's playing above his average, especially scoring 30 or more, the Lakers are just flat out better. They shoot better, they move the ball better, they score in waves, and they win by bigger margin. Even in the playoffs, the trend didn't slow. In Game 2 against Minnesota, Luka played 42 minutes, scored 31, pulled in 12 boards, and handed out 9 assists. Almost another triple-double. That was one of the most competitive series games, and Luka's near triple-double kept the Lakers right there in it. It's clear when his stat lines hit those higher marks, the Lakers become a different team, more explosive, more efficient, and more dangerous. Now take his advanced metrics. His true shooting percentage for the season was 61.7. That's high efficiency, especially for a guy with an offensive load of 70.1. That means he wasn't just taking a lot of shots, he was shouldering the majority of the offense and still hitting them at a super efficient rate. His shooting quality was 65.1, which means he was generating high-value shots, not just chucking. His three-point attempt rate was 45, and his free throw rate sat at 36.8. Those numbers mean he was attacking from deep and drawing contact in the paint. That kind of inside-out pressure opens up the floor for the whole team. The Lakers' shooting numbers on his big nights reflect that. He stretches defenses and punishes them when they collapse. Look at his box creation metric, 18.4. That tells us how often he created quality looks for his teammates. When he's in good game mode, that number matters more than ever. He's not just scoring, he's bending the defense and setting up others for clean shot. And when the whole team starts hitting, blowout wins follow. His passing rating was 8.2, with a playmaking output rating of 7.6. That's elite level table setting. You don't get that kind of impact without vision, timing, and control. His versatility score was 78, meaning he contributed across multiple roles, especially when he got hot. That's the kind of flexibility that lets the Lakers shift gears mid-game and keep pressure on both ends. Now let's look at value. Luka posted a cumulative wins above replacement player of 11.39 and a value over replacement player of 8. Those aren't just pretty numbers. They show how much better the team is when he's out there putting up his best. When Luka has a big night, the Lakers rack up wins. Because his overall impact on the floor is that large, then there's the plus-minus metrics. His offensive PPM was 6.0. Add a defensive PIPM of 0.2, and you get a total PIPM of 6.2. Luka's defensive PIPM is nothing special, but his offense more than makes up for it. Combine that with his Darko numbers, offensive Darko at 5.1, defensive Darko at negative 0.3, and overall Darko at 4.9. You start to see the same thing. The Lakers win big when Luka's offense takes off. His offensive drip sat at 5.5. Defensive drip, 0.6. That's a total drip of 6.1. And if you love box plus minus, he gave the Lakers an offensive BPM of 8.3 and a defensive BPM of 1.7. For a player logging huge usage, that kind of production is just absurd. You can't fake this kind of statistical impact. He's lifting the team's ceiling every time he gets in rhythm. Even looking at his past performances against the Lakers backs it up. In his last 10 games before joining Los Angeles, he averaged 29.6 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. That's a triple-double average against the very team that ended up benefiting from those same numbers once he switched jerseys. And just compare that into his average across his entire career versus the Lakers before joining them. 26.2 points, 8.8 boards, and 8.9 assists. He ramped it up in those later matchups. And that version of Luka is the one the Lakers now get when he's having a good game. So let's bring it back to what that means for team performance. The most obvious connection is scoring margin. When Luka scores over 30 and adds strong assists and rebounds, the Lakers win bigger. That 15-point win over Dallas and 31-point win over Houston don't look like outliers anymore. They look like what happens when Luka's in that upper gear. It's not just the scoring. The Lakers team shooting percentages skyrocket when he's cooking. In that Houston win, they hit 60.9% from the field and made over 50% of their threes. That's not a fluke. That's what happens when defenses collapse on Luka and shooters are left open. And while we don't have net rating splits for his good games, we can still see the trend clearly. Every time Luka pushes past his average, in points, and keeps his passing up, the Lakers turn into a powerhouse. It doesn't just help them keep up, it helps them dominate. Even in games where the full team box score isn't available, we know that Luka's offensive efficiency and high involvement lead to team-wide benefits. His offensive load was 70.1, nearly the highest possible, so his good games are more than personal milestones. They're launch pads for the Lakers' best performances. That kind of output doesn't just show up in flashy numbers. It alters the entire team's rhythm. He dictates pace, draws defenders, finds open shooters, and punishes lazy rotations. When Luka has it going, the Lakers don't just play better. They overwhelm opponents. The game opens up. Their spacing improves. Their tempo sharpens. That's what the stats say. And sure, the sample size isn't massive since he joined late in the season. But even with a small group of games, the difference between average Luka and good game Luka shows up everywhere. In points, in efficiency, in shooting splits, and in wins. Bottom line, if Luka scores 30 or more and keeps that assist count near 6, the Lakers' odds of a blowout skyrocket. The team's identity shifts into something more dangerous. High shooting percentages, wide scoring margins, more rhythm on offense, better spacing, more open threes, all tied to one player having one of his better nights. So when you see Luka go off, the numbers tell the story. It's not hype, it's not narrative, it's just what happened. The Lakers become a better team, statistically and on the scoreboard, when he turns it up, every time. And honestly, we can say the same thing about Austin Reeves. When Austin Reeves hit one of his better games, the Lakers didn't just survive, they adjusted, recalibrated, and leaned on it. And the numbers back it up across the board. His season averages were solid: 20.2 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 5.8 assists per game. But in those games, when LeBron sat out and Reeves had to step up, he averaged 27.9 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 8.3 assists. That jump in every category shows what happens when the team gives him more control. He handled more, he produced more, and the Lakers adapted around it. That 45-point explosion against Indiana, that was one of only 4 instances in the last 20 years where a Laker scored at least 45 and added at least 7 rebounds and 7 assists in the same game. The Lakers won that one, 124-117. That kind of night doesn't happen if he's not fully in control of the game. And it also suggests that when he takes on more scoring and distributing duties, the Lakers can still come out with the win. And when Reeves was given more touches, he didn't just shoot more, he distributed more too. That 8.3 assist average in LeBron-less games shows his ability to slide into a creator role. His offensive versatility became a real tool for the Lakers. If he was only a spot-up shooter, you wouldn't see those assist numbers rise like that. He wasn't just scoring, he was setting up his teammates and shifting defensive attention. Let's talk advanced metrics. His true shooting percentage was 61.6. That's extremely efficient, especially considering the volume he took on when others were out. True shooting includes three-pointers and free throws, and he had a free throw rate of 35.3. So he wasn't just floating around the arc, he was attacking, drawing contact, and getting to the line. And he was efficient when he got there. His three-point attempt rate was 51.2. That means more than half of his shots came from beyond the arc. Combine that with a near 38% conversion rate, and you've got a player who forces defenses to stretch out. That's how spacing works. Defenders can't sag off him, which means more room for slashes, post-ups, and rotations to go wrong for the defense. Shooting quality, 69.9. That tells us that the shots he took were high-quality looks. That doesn't mean they were easy. It means he made good decisions, didn't take bad heat checks, and found windows where he could get his shot off cleanly. That kind of shot selection helps stabilize an offense, especially when the first or second options are sitting. Now onto box creation. His number was 8.2. That means he created over 8 quality looks for teammates per 100 possessions. And remember, this is from a player who wasn't the full-time primary ball handler. That number shows that when he did take on more of that role, he knew where to go with the ball. Reeves' offensive load was 43.2. That means he carried a significant share of the offensive burden when he was on the floor. This isn't a guy hiding in the corner waiting for a catch and shoot. He was initiating, driving, passing, scoring, basically doing all the stuff a lead guard does when the team needs a bucket or a look late in the clock. Passing rating, 7.1. Playmaking output rating, 8.4. Both of those numbers tell the same story. When Reeves got the rock, he wasn't just trying to score, he was moving the ball, making smart decisions, and getting teammates involved. It's that kind of balanced production that makes the offense click when LeBron or Luka are either on the bench or not available. His versatility score was 53. That number reflects how many roles he filled and how well he handled each one. As a starter in all 73 games, he played both on and off the ball, guarded multiple positions, and absorbed usage depending on who was healthy. And in those games where his stats jumped up, games without LeBron in particular, he became a true focal point. Let's look at value. His cumulative wins above replacement player was 5.08. That means across the season, he added the equivalent value of over 5 extra wins above a replacement level player. Value over replacement player was 2.6. Not elite, but definitely high enough to say he made a real difference, especially in big moments. The plus-minus metrics back that up. His offensive PIPM was 2.5. Defensive PIPM was -1. That brings his overall PIPM to 1.6. It's clear where his strengths lie. He's an offensive piece that adds to team performance when he's on. His defense, Not great by the numbers, but not awful enough to drag down his total impact. Offensive Darko, 2. Defensive Darko, negative 1.1. So his overall Darko was just under 1. Again, slightly above average, with most of the value coming on the offensive side. When Reeves has a good night, it's rarely because he locked someone down. It's because he kept the Lakers' offense flowing. He had an offensive drip of 2.8 and a defensive drip of negative 0.3. So his total drip was 2.5. That's another way of saying he's adding a couple extra points of value every night, which builds up quickly when the team is relying on him for creation. And then there's the box plus minus numbers. His offensive BPM was 2.4. Defensive BPM was negative 0.5. These stats reinforce what we already know from watching him and from the basic numbers. Reeves adds offensive juice, keeps things moving, and is reliable with the ball. The team leans on him more when their stars rest or miss time, and he steps up when called. What's clear is that the Lakers' offensive identity shifted whenever Reeves put up numbers north of his season averages. When he had 27 or more, with more assists and more rebounds, the team was getting more motion, more passing, more high-quality looks, and more off-ball activity. That's the kind of impact you see from a connector, a guy who bridges the gap between the stars and the role players. Even if the data doesn't give us every single split, we can infer that when Reeves plays at that higher level, the Lakers become a more balanced, multi-option offense. And that's important. It makes them harder to defend, harder to predict, and better over four quarters. His biggest nights almost always included solid shooting, decent rebounding, and high assist numbers. That means he wasn't one-dimensional. When Reeves had a good game, it wasn't just about one hot quarter or one matchup. It was full game impact. Points, assists, spacing, ball movement. Everything flowed better. And it's not just about the scoring. The Lakers don't need Reeves to drop 45 every night. But when he puts up 27 or more, adds 7 assists, and keeps the ball moving, it usually means they're in good shape, especially with stars out. His ability to step into that vacuum and not just hold the line, but raise it, shows up in every metric. Reeves didn't just have a good season. He had the kind of season that proves he's more than a complementary piece. The Lakers played better when he was aggressive, when he shot more, passed more, and stayed involved. The team didn't fall apart without LeBron because Reeves was able to lift the weight. And the numbers tell that story without needing any hype. So whenever you see Reeves put up numbers way above that 20.2 baseline, especially with big assist totals, expect the Lakers to look a lot more complete. They don't just stay afloat. They get better when he does. The stats make that clear. But overall, there's a moment in basketball where the box score becomes almost irrelevant, when what's happening on the court is so cohesive, so dialed in, so dominant that the stats feel more like a formality than an explanation. That's what happened to the Lakers. This wasn't just a game where players put up numbers. This was a game where a team, missing its biggest star, looked like it had already found a brand new identity. And that identity wasn't dependent on one singular thing. It was built on movement, spacing, balance, and a clear understanding of roles. Everyone who stepped on the floor knew exactly what needed to be done, and they did it, from start to finish. Luka didn't just have a good night. He set the tone, the energy, the tempo, the decision-making. It all flowed through him. And when he plays like that, when the game is bending around his rhythm, the Lakers become something else entirely. Not just a good team, not just a team with depth, a team with the capacity to overwhelm, to press every advantage, and to suffocate hope before opponents even settle in. Luka doesn't just score. He rearranges how opposing defenses function. He draws coverage, rearranges floor balance, and stretches help defenders into panic zones. That kind of gravity gives his teammates a head start on nearly every possession. But the magic of this team wasn't that one guy cooked while the rest stood still. The most telling part of this performance wasn't Luka's individual brilliance. It was how much better everyone else looked around him. There was a comfort to the way the Lakers played, a flow that suggested reps and trust and structure. The passes weren't just accurate, they were timely. The movement wasn't just scripted, it was reactive. Everything clicked because each player had the space, confidence, and opportunity to play their game without hesitation. Austin Reeves is a prime example of that trust being rewarded. He played with pace and patience, attacking when the defense gave him windows and distributing with real purpose. He didn't force things. He just identified gaps and took advantage of them. He filled in where needed and stepped up when required. He was never out of place, never chasing the moment. Instead, he played with a calm aggression that made the entire offense feel stable. With Luka drawing the top defenders, Reeves exploited mismatches, made smart decisions. and brought a secondary wave of offense that gave the Lakers layer after layer of scoring options. That dual-engine attack, Luka's all-world shot creation, and Reeves' balanced, steady orchestration is what makes this team's ceiling so high. When one slows down, the other picks it up. When defenses overcommit, the ball keeps moving. There's no dependency on one action, one set, or one play. It's adaptive basketball, and the Lakers are starting to look like a team that can toggle between different styles on the fly. That matters, especially in a league where adaptability is the difference between being competitive and being dominant. Then there's the supporting cast. Players like Rui, who took advantage of the extra attention on the stars and turned that into easy buckets and confident shooting. DeAndre Ayton, providing efficient finishes and tough interior presence without needing high usage. Marcus Smart bringing that veteran steadiness off the bench, not with gaudy offensive numbers, but by locking in on defense and making life miserable for opposing guard. Every one of these performances fed into the others. Nobody had to force their impact. It came naturally through the structure of the game. When the starters rested, the bench didn't hold the line, they extended it. That's rare. What made this game resonate so clearly wasn't just that it was a blowout. It's how that blowout was constructed, not through isolation-heavy shot-making or a one-time burst of scoring luck, but through consistent execution, through smart switches, strong rotations, efficient possessions, and disciplined decision-making. The Lakers didn't get hot. They played well. They didn't have to rely on hero ball or miracle shots. They trusted the system, trusted the rotation, and played with rhythm. And the most important part, they did it without LeBron. That kind of win, that kind of dominance, doesn't just build momentum, it builds identity. This team isn't holding out for reinforcements. They're not just waiting to be whole. They're developing habits, reps, and chemistry that'll only be more dangerous once the roster is at full strength. That's what separates contenders from the pack. They don't just show flashes when everyone's healthy. They find new levels while key players are missing. Bronny James, checking in late, was a footnote to the larger narrative, but it mattered because it meant the Lakers were in control, because it meant the game was handled, because it meant a young player could get reps without it feeling like charity minutes. That's what happens when a team not only dominates, but does so with poise and structure. They close the door early and don't let the opponent back in. They dictate the terms of the game. And while Luka's individual brilliance has made that kind of night feel possible, what's striking is how often that brilliance translates to better team play across the board. Not just higher scoring, better efficiency, cleaner possessions, fewer forced looks, more movement, smarter spacing. The stats have already made that clear. When Luka goes big, the Lakers follow. The whole offense rises. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It's a system that clicks harder when he's at the center of it. The same applies to Reeves. The data confirms what the eye test shows. When he's playing confidently, scoring more than usual, and keeping the ball moving, the Lakers shift into a higher gear. And that gear isn't just more scoring, it's more balance. It's better defense, it's sharper rotations. When he's aggressive, the rest of the team feeds off of that, and the offense becomes less predictable and more dangerous. This game, and everything we've seen when these two play at a high level, is about control. Not just scoreboard control, but tempo control, energy control, and momentum control. The Lakers are playing like a team that knows what it wants to be. And more importantly, they know how to get there. The pace isn't frantic, the possessions aren't random, and the scoring isn't streaky. It's steady, it's layered, it's repeatable. And that's the scariest part for everyone else. Because this doesn't look like a fluke, this doesn't look like an early season outlier, it looks like a formula. A core that's learning how to win together. A team that's starting to understand how to maximize every piece, even when some of those pieces are on the sideline. A team that's preparing to not just compete, but to dictate. The Lakers put on a show, but the real story is that it wasn't a one-man act. It wasn't a circus trick or a flash in the pan. It was structure, balance, execution, and confidence. Luka did what he always does: control the offense, score in bunches, and make defenses question their existence. Reeves did what he's learned to do: keep things moving, hit big shots, and stay locked in across all phases. And everyone else filled in, played their roles, and made sure the momentum never dipped. If this is what the Lakers look like in Game 2 of the season, with key players out and rotations still being tested, it's hard to imagine what they'll look like at full strength.